Trina, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm here. I'm just getting out of another meeting at work.
Okay. All righty, great. Yeah, just checking to make sure everybody's microphone's working. I think I've heard from everybody. Let's see. Let me get one other thing done here. All right, I think we are ready to get started. We're probably going to have a few more people join us. We got a few more people signed up that aren't here, but we're going to get started anyway. Let me get my thing set up on my side. It'll take another minute here and give people another minute or two to get in. You should be seeing my screen now. And I'm going to move your pictures over to my other monitor. Most of you know this routine. That way I can see everybody easier on my side monitor over here. Great. I do have the chat open already. And so 1 second. Okay, so I have the chat open. So if anybody does have any microphone issues, or if you just need to contact us via the chat for any reason, the chat is now open and available for you. But if your microphone's working, please just go ahead and use your microphone to ask your questions or make your comments. That way I'll hear them and we'll get you a prompt answer. All right. And Austin from our TA group is here. He's going to be helping me monitor the chat in case I miss any questions in there. But if you have any issues with your microphone, camera, or any other things you need to talk with us about, you can always reach Austin in the chat. Okay. Thanks for joining us, Austin. Appreciate your help as always. All right, let's get started. So this is Excel Intermediate. This is the second of the 2 class series on Excel. So if you, as I was telling Christina, if you haven't taken the basics class or have a background in Excel already, this one's going to be a little challenging because this picks up where the other one leaves off. If you've had that other class or you or have used Excel before, you'll probably be fine and hopefully learn a few new things. So let's go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining the class. My name is Wade Yarber. I'll be your guide for the class today. Very briefly on my background, I was born and raised in a small town called Mason, Tennessee, just outside of Memphis. Wandered up to West Virginia to get my doctorate degree in psychology. While I was there, I also got a minor in computer science. So I've been using computer science since these things, which some people may recognize and remember, punch cards. So started out writing COBOL code. So I've always loved technology, always loved psychology. And I love teaching and Get Set Up because I get to teach people like you that are in the class because you want to be here, not because somebody made you take the class. And to Get Set Up, we try to create an environment where you can take classes with other people that are interested in the same topic. You can interact with each other, hear each other's questions, interact with the guide. That's the big thing we try to foster at Get Set Up is that interactive feeling. That's why we ask people to turn their cameras on. I do thank you all for turning your cameras on. But if you are not comfortable turning your camera on, it's not a requirement, certainly. Session is being recorded, as all of our sessions are, and you can get a copy after class by sending an email to help@getsetup.io. I'm going to put that in the chat. In case you don't already have that in your email contacts, you can copy and paste it out of the chat. We're also live streaming the class today, so I do want to welcome anyone joining us via live stream. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoy the class as well. But the only way to get that full interactive experience I just talked about is to go to our website and register for the class. That way you can ask your questions as well. And finally, we aren't paid to promote any of the products we train on. We're purely trainers. So the agenda for today is we're going to pick up where the other class left off, where we did some simple math functions. We're going to get into review some of those, but get into some logic functions and some text functions. We'll talk about working with large data spreadsheets, how you can sort, filter, and manage those larger spreadsheets. We'll do a few charts and graphs to show you how that works. And we'll talk about printing spreadsheets. And any other questions you might have along the way. So I'm going to switch over to Excel. And we're going to get started as always, but just a reminder is that if you have questions or comments, please just go ahead and unmute, ask a question at any time. If I go over something too quickly or you need me to explain it differently because it didn't make sense, just unmute and tell me you need some help. Always glad to answer your questions. Okay, we're going to start with something I call a calculator. I used to make a lot of calculators. I still use some. Calculators are a quick spreadsheet that you can use for some particular function. The one I've got here as a hypothetical one, but it's a pizza party cost estimator. So the assumption here is that I belong to a group and we have a pizza party once a month, and it's my job to order and pay for the pizzas. So instead of doing it on a real calculator in my hand, I've done it on a spreadsheet. So I'll show you how to build a calculator. The main thing here, this is a little bit of a warm up to kind of jog your memory in terms of how basic formulas and functions work, kind of get you in the mood for the more complex things. So we're going to start out by building our calculator here. The top part has my assumptions, how many guests, how many slices of pizza each one is going to eat, how many slices per pizza I'm ordering, what the pizza cost, and how much of a tip I'm going to leave. So let's fill in the calculations down in the lower section. We're going to start with the calculation to figure out how many slices of pizza I need. All of our calculations formulas always start with an equal sign. And so that's going to be equal to the number of guests times the number of slices each guest is going to eat. I can type in B4, but the easiest way is just to click on it. And it starts building my formula up here in the formula bar. So 15 B4 times number of slices, which is in B5, and hit enter. And it says I'm going to need 30 slices of pizza. So how many pizzas am I going to need to buy? So again, equals, you always start with an equal sign. So this is going to then be the number of slices that I need, which is here, divided by the number of slices per pizza, B11 divided by B6, and it tells me I'm going to need 3.75 pizzas. So I call the pizzeria and they say they don't sell fractional parts of pizza, so I need to round this to the nearest whole pizza. So to do this, I'm going to need a function. So we're going to come up over here to the shortcut into the functions. We'll talk about them a little bit more later, other ways to get to them, but this is where I normally would go and click the little arrow, down arrow right beside it. It shows me the ones that I use that are used the most, but the one I want isn't in there. So I'm going to click more functions and it'll show me more functions here. I know I want to round something, so I'm going to type round and hit go or just hit enter. And it shows me the functions that have round in it somewhere. And down here at the bottom, it tells me what that function does. So round rounds a number to a specific number of digits. This one rounds down. This sounds like what I want. This rounds up because I want to round up to the next highest pizza. So let's try that one. So I'm going to select that one and say OK. And it opens up this table that helps me build my function. So it says, what number do I want to round? It's this one, the number of pizzas. I'm going to click there. And then it says, how many decimal places do I want to round that to? And it is 0. I want to get to the number of pizzas. The nice thing about this table is it tells you what the answer is going to be before you save it. So you can check and make sure that looks right. And that does look right. 3.75 should round up to 4. I click OK. And I've now rounded my pizzas. Okay. I'm going to keep going. We're going to do a lot more functions. If anybody has problems with the functions, a couple more to do, and then we'll take any questions you have about this. So I need to figure out, okay, how much am I going to have to pay? What are the pizzas going to cost me? That's going to be another formula. I'm going to buy 4 pizzas times
Wait,
$12 per pizza. Yeah.
can you make this sheet bigger? No?
I don't think I can.
Okay,
You,
all right. It just seems like the last time I didn't have a hard time.
yeah, if it's in a browser, you can increase the browser size, but if there's a way to do it in Excel, I'm not sure off the top of my head. How
Wayne,
to
if you go to view,
Go down,
if you go to
go-
view, you can do it. You'll see it
Or-
right away.
or you can go down to the bottom right-hand corner and just slide the little, there's a little zoom thing that you can slide back and
There
forth.
it is. Okay, let me see if I can make it a little bigger. We're going to have problems with some of the other spreadsheets if I increase it much because, and it's not letting me move that. Now you can,
it's
I
not?
think,
Okay.
you can probably do that on your side, but this is a very small one. We're going to be filling up this whole spreadsheet later. So if I make it bigger, we're not going to be able to see things. So
Mm.
let's leave it where it is because I think we're going to have trouble on some of the other tabs if I make it any bigger. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'll kind of talk through what I'm doing. Hopefully you can see it okay. So there's my total cost. And again, just to kind of remind you from before, this shows you the result. The formula is up here. But if I want to see the formula, I can double click on any one of the formulas and it'll show me the formula down there. That actually even highlights the 2 cells involved in the formula. So if you get a number that doesn't look quite right, if you double click it, it gives you an easy way to see, okay, this number of pizzas times the cost per pizza, that is right. So I'm going to calculate my tip. And so that's going to be equal to the cost times the percent I'm going to leave. Hit enter. So I'm going to leave a $4.80 tip. And then I need to get my total cost. There's actually 2 things I could do here. I could say equals the pizza cost plus the tip. Or I could actually throw in a function here instead, whichever way you'd rather do it. I can sum up these 2 columns, 2 cells. And get the same answer, whichever way you'd rather do it. And there's my calculator. Now, the nice thing about the calculator is I do this, and then as normally happens, some people call up and all of a sudden I've only got 13 people coming instead of 15. I change the 13 and everything recalcs. If I call and the pizza place says it's now $13.25 for the pizzas, I change that, everything recalcs. So it makes it nice in a situation where things are changing. So any questions about any of the formulas, functions, or the whole concept of calculators? Okay. All right, let's move on and let's go over some more functions. And again, this is where I was saying I'm going to get in some bigger sheets, then I need to see all the rows in this bigger sheet. So I would lose some things if I made it any larger. So let me explain the scenario here. I'm helping a company that is doing fundraising, and these are the people that have donated so far. So I've got their first name, their last name, where they live, and how much they've donated. And the donations are coming in kind of slow. So the organization has decided to give a free gift to anybody that donates over $50, and they want me to figure out who should be getting a free gift. Okay. So I've added a column here for free gift. And so I'm going to create a function to show me how to do that. And I'll go up here to my functions. And it's not there. So I'm going to say more functions. I can search like I did before. It also shows you the ones you've most recently used. So typically you're going to find what you're looking for in here if you use the same ones over and over. And in this case, I know this is what I want, the if function. So I'm just going to click it out of my list down here and say, okay. And then here's my table. So there's three parts of the if function. I have a logic test, and then I have what do I do if that test is true? What do I do if that test is false? Okay. So I'm going to test if this amount is greater than 50. If it's true, I'm going to have, this is going to be equal to the donation plus 50. Oh, wait, sorry, I'm on the wrong line. I'm doing the free gift. So if this is greater than 50, then I want to put a designation here saying that they get a gift. So I'm just going to put double quote gift and double quote. Anytime you're doing text, you have to put it in double quotes. And if it's less than 50, then they don't get anything. So I don't need to put anything in here. I'm going to leave this blank just to show you what happens. And I'll say, okay. That looks good. That is correct. It was over 50. They get a gift. A couple of different ways to copy functions down. One is to come up here and grab the bottom right corner when your cursor changes and just drag it down. That worked. The gift works, but it's ugly. I don't want all these falses in here. So let's change my function. There was a third part of the function. What should I do when it's false? I could delete this, bring my table back and do it from there. But if you've used functions before, I'll show you, you can actually just go in and do it manually. So I can say the third argument should be, if it's false, I want to put in a space. Double quote, space, double quote. Instead of the word false. The other way you can copy this down, the one I normally use, is just left click, hold it and select, and then do a Control D, control down, and it will copy the function down. Excel has lots of keyboard shortcuts. In the email coming out after class, I'll send you a link to a lot of keyboard shortcuts if you like keyboard shortcuts.
Wade,
So, yes.
would you comment about the commas and also mention the fact that the commas are outside of the quotation marks for the literary folks out there that are used to putting them inside of quotation marks? I think that might be helpful.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, there's the three rows in the table. When we had the table up, this separates those. So this was the first row, which was the logic test, comma. The second row is what do I put in if it's true, comma, what do I put in if it's false? And then I put double quotes around the value that I'm putting into the cell. So I actually stored a space in this cell, just as if I'd come down here and hit my space bar and hit enter. Because you know, if you don't put something in it, it's going to put the word false. So that's why I did the word false. So those are the three components, and that's how I was able to change it. Just by going into here, I can see what the three arguments are and how to edit them. If I'd misspelled gift, I could go in and correct the spelling here as well. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Other thing I'm going to do, I am a little obsessive compulsive. I'm going to center that to make it look nicer. Okay. So any other questions about that one? Yeah. Do you have a question, Susie? You're muted if you are.
Are the shortcuts the same for a Mac as they are for a PC?
Probably not. They have shortcuts, but it's I think instead of the control, it's a different key
Right,
that you
it's a
do.
different key, but are the numbers the same?
I think it's that function and then D for down. but
Okay,
I don't have a Mac, so yeah, unless there's another Mac person in the group, I can't help you because I'm not a Mac person. Sorry. All right, let's keep going. I've got another letter here from the group doing the fundraising, and they tell me that a rich guy from Texas has decided to add $20 to the donation of any other person from Texas. So I'm going to add another column here for total donation after taking into account that generous offer from the person in Texas. I need another function, and I'm going to use the same function. I'm going to use the if again. And so my logic test here is going to be if the state is equal to Texas, double quote, TX, double quote. If that is true, then the donation is going to be equal to the amount the person donated plus the $20 from the gentleman in Texas. Otherwise, it's just the donation amount. And again, nice thing about the table is it does tell you what's going on. You can kind of see if it makes sense. So for example, on the logic test, it says false. That is indeed false. Ohio is not Texas. So in this case, it should give me 52. So it looks like my argument is right. I can copy it down and see if it still looks right. So let's find a Texas. Here's a Texas. It was 20, now it's 40. Here's another one. It was 35, now it's 55. So it looks like that is indeed working. So that's the adjusted donation after the accommodation for Texas. And again, kind of back up to looking at it up here in the formula bar. Again, you can see the three parts. If E11 equals to Texas, that's the test. And then what do you do if it's true? What do you do if it's false? Questions on that one before I move on? Okay. They've sent me another note saying they're going to be doing some mailings, snail mailings. So they want to print some address labels. And so they need first name, last name in one field instead of in two fields. So I'm going to select this column and do a right click and insert to give myself a new column where I can put the full name. And I need another function. Let's go up to our functions or functions. And again, I'll show you. If you want to get to all the formulas and functions, you can come up here and get to all the lists separated by different areas. And so sometimes if you're not quite sure, you might have to look around and see if you can find it. Okay. Now, you could also search from where we were before. So just to show you another way to go, I know it's text I got to work with, so it's got to be in this group somewhere. And concatenate sounds like what I want to do. I want to concatenate the information in column A with the information in column B. So I grab that one and see if that looks right. It looks right. So let's try this one. So I want to concatenate the first name in A2. And I'm going to do this and make a mistake to show you again why this is helpful. Because down here, it's showing me what my answer is going to look like. And I say that doesn't look good because Sylvia is crammed right up against Armstrong. So let's instead put a space there, double quote space, double quote. And now put the last name here. That looks better. It is Sylvia space Armstrong. That's what I want. So I'm going to say okay. And looks good. I'll grab the bottom right here just to keep showing you you can do it either way. Copy that down. I think that looks good. I'll do a trick from the first class. I'm going to double click here between the two columns, and it will automatically widen that column to be the width of the widest cell in the column. And it looks good. Okay. So that's the concatenate function working with text. Questions on that one? I'll click on it again. You can see the function concatenate A4 plus the text of a space. So you can put things in between there. If they wanted it, just to do another quick one here. Let's say they wanted it last name, comma, first name.
Right.
You could do that as well. Instead of changing that one, I'm going to do is delete this out and come back and grab it again. So I could do last name, and then I can insert quote, comma, space, quote, and then the first name. And say, now it has Booker, comma, space, Kara. So you can insert any kind of text in the middle of the cells. You combine cells and text any way you want to. All right, one more, and then we're going to be done. Because now this worked, and now my table has got 200 people in it. And they're ready to go out and buy the gifts. And so they need to know how many gifts they need to buy. And I don't want to sit there and scroll through 200 rows counting the number of gifts here. So I want a function just to tell me how many. So I'm going to come back up to my function store again and buy another one. And I don't see it there, so we'll go and look for it. And luckily I know the name of it. Get out of there. So COUNTIF is the name of the function I want to use. This one works a little different than some of the others. In this case, it's asking me what range of cells do I want to look at? Where am I counting? So I'm counting within this range of cells. And what am I looking for? I'm counting if I find gift in that cell. So I'm counting every cell in that range that has the word gift in it. It says 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That looks good. Lots and lots of functions, lots of fun things you can do with functions, extremely beneficial. Questions before I move on? Okay, let's move to the next tab here. Bring up another sheet. And let's do a little bit of work with large tables. This is a fairly large table. There are a lot larger ones here. But let's talk about the table. This is sales information. I've got the salesperson's name, what region they work in, and then their sales totals for the year of last year. So maybe I'm one of the managers here, and I start looking at this, and I start looking around, and all of a sudden now I'm over here, and I don't know where I am. I don't know what month I'm in anymore. So I need a way to anchor that top row. So I'm going to go up to View and Freeze Panes. One sec, let me make sure I'm in the right place, right? Freeze Panes and Freeze Top Row. Looks like what I want to do. So I'm going to click that. And now when I scroll down, that top row stays in place. So much better. I'm looking around until I get over here, and now I've lost my context in the columns. I don't know which salesperson I'm looking at any longer. I'm going to do a Control Home, the keyboard shortcut that takes me up to the upper left of my spreadsheet. And let's see if we can't fix that. And what I want to do is to put my cursor where the actual data starts. So this first row and these first two columns are really delimiters telling me about the data. This is the real data. So I'm going to go back to Freeze Panes. First, I'm going to unfreeze what I did. It didn't work. And if you look over here, it gives you a little icon showing you what you can do. You can freeze the top row. You can freeze the first column, or you can freeze rows and columns. I'm going to pick this one. So what it does, it freezes all the rows above my cursor and all the columns to the left of my cursor. So now if I scroll down, it's frozen. If I scroll right, it's frozen. So I can navigate anywhere within this spreadsheet and know where I am. Control Home takes me back to the upper left. And in this case now, the upper left is this cell, because these are all my data points. Questions about that one? Okay. And again, if you want to get rid of it, you can just come back up to Freeze Panes and unfreeze, and it puts it back like it was before we started. Now, the next thing you often want to do with big spreadsheets is to sort it, have it making sense. Right now, it's not sorted by anything. I'm going to click in the upper left corner to select the entire table, and now move from the View tab over here to the Data tab and come to Sort. First thing you need to tell Excel is whether your first row has data in it or not. Is it a header? In this case, mine is a header. This isn't data. I don't want this row sorted down in the middle of the table. It should stay at the top. And then I can say how, it asks me how do I want to sort it. And let's say I want to sort it by region first. And so let's do that. And so now I sorted it. So all the East data is together, the North data, the South data, the West data. So that adds some structure to it, but my salespeople are still kind of randomly thrown in there. Let's go back and see if we can take care of that. We'll click data. I'm already in data. I have to click it again. I can come back to my sort. You can add multiple levels of sort. Just click here. I can add another level. So I want to sort by region, but then I want to sort by salesperson within region. Say OK. Now I've sorted alphabetical by salesperson within region. As I change regions, I start back with the A's again and work my way through. You can add as many levels in your sort as you want to. Questions on sorting? Okay. There's something else that comes in handy with larger spreadsheets, and it's called filtering. So I'm going to come up here and click on Filter. It's right beside Sort. And you can see it puts a little icon beside each one of the rows. And let's say I'm responsible for the South and the East regions. I don't have anything to do with the North and West. So I don't want to see that information. So I'm going to sort by region, filter by region, and say, just show me the east and the south. Don't show me the north and the west. So I can unclick what I don't want to see. Say, okay. It's now filtered my table, just showing me the regions, the regions I'm responsible for. You can tell from the icon which one has been
Wait.
filtered. Yes.
So if you were to print that portion of the worksheet, would those icons be there? The little filter things?
That's a good question. Well, we're going to do printing later and check and see. I don't think
Okay.
it does, but that's a good question. I've never paid attention to that. So
Okay.
don't let me forget when we go into printing, because I'm going to print this spreadsheet. So we'll
Oh, okay. Thank
check
you.
it and see.
Doesn't print those.
It does not? Okay.
No.
I didn't think it would, but I wasn't positive and I didn't want to say. So, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. So but it will show you just what you're seeing here. It won't show you the other information. And the way this works, if you're familiar with hiding rows or hiding columns, you can manually hide columns. So if I want to just click these 3 columns and say hide them, I can select them and do a right click and say hide. And it does the same thing, but you can see here, it goes from 9 to 18. It shows I'm missing some rows. I'm missing rows down here between 22 and 23. I'm missing these rows I just hid. If I want to bring them back, I can click the rows on either side, right click again and unhide. Bring them back. All right, come on back. And I think it's because I'm inside a filtered range. Let me,
Now, Wade, you didn't have the right 2 rows, I think.
and then let me try it one more time. I've got the 3rd row and the 7th row. Now let's make it a little bigger. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Maybe you can't do that if it's inside. Let me just take this off and try it. You can click on the filter and you can tell which one's filtered because it looks different. It's got this icon instead of the down arrow, and just say clear the filters. Let me do that again. So let's hide these 3 rows. And now let's see if it unhides. Now it works. So like, since filtering uses hide and unhide, it looks like it gets confused if you're trying to do it yourself inside a filter maybe. But anyway, that's what filters do. It's just hiding rows. It doesn't delete them, of course. If you remove the filter, it comes right back. Give you a couple more examples. Maybe I just want to check on a few salespeople. So I can come here where it says select all and uncheck it, which unselects everybody. And I just want to look at these 3 salespeople for whatever reason. And I say, okay. And now I've just got their information here. So again, large spreadsheets, a handy way to go in and start manipulating, looking at just parts of that spreadsheet. I can clear this again here. Now, if I wanted to sort the data, I can come into here and sort. So in this case, if I want to see which of the sales sorted by sales performance, I want to have the best sales on top. I can just click sort here. So you can use this to sort as well. So it's now sorted by January sales volumes. I'll remove that. Let's see, what else was I going to show you around filters? Okay, let's do this. Let me go back and just do what I was doing before. Just show me my southeast. Well, hang on, let me do something different here. You can also filter by numbers. So if I want to filter this and only show people that have greater than 10,000 in sales, or 10,000. I can do that. So before I was filtering based on text, you can filter based on numbers as well. And another one that is used a lot is if you want to just find the top X members. So instead of a certain amount, I can say, show me the top 10. I can show me the top whatever, but it's predefined to be the top 10. So this will show me the top 10 salespeople, regardless of how much they sold. Questions? I'm going to pick up. All right, let's move on. We got a couple more things to cover and time is starting to run out on us, but those are filters. Those are handy. I want to quickly show you charting. We're not going to spend too much time here. Charting, if you're doing simple charting, which is all we're going to do today, it's fairly straightforward. This is a new table. This is from a bookseller. It has their sales by month, by genre of book, classics, mysteries, romance, sci-fi, etc. And I'm trying to start ordering books for June, and I want to understand my sales a little better. So I can select my table or a portion of the table. I'm going to select the entire table here, come up to insert, and then come over here to charts. It's in this section. I'm going to click recommended charts. And with the recommended charts, Excel is suggesting how you might want to look at it, because some charts don't make sense based on the data you're looking at. So it'll show you some that do make sense that you might want to look at. So you can take their recommendation, or you can click on the next tab, which will show you all charts. Gives you a little bit more that you can work by. So let's say I want to do a column, but I can do a clustered column. I can do a line chart. I can do a bar chart, horizontal bar chart. So different types of charts. Let's do columns. Let's say I want to do a 3D clustered column. So let's take a look at that. And it now gives me my chart. And you can adjust the size so you can see it. So I have by month sales, which makes it pretty easy to see what's been going on, except for the first month. My romance has been selling the best. You can add a title here if you want to add a title to your chart. I can add more than one chart. So if I want to add another chart, I can come back up here and grab my data again, come back and insert. And let's say I want to do I'm going to do another column chart, but this time I want to flip the axes. I say, okay. So here I've got genre for the bars, and then doing it per month. Here I've got month with the genres. So you can flip it and look at it either way. It gives you a little different view of the data. This over here. Let's put it down here so we can get to it. And maybe I also want to have a bar chart or line chart. And again, I've got several different ones I can choose from. I like that one. Again, I can pick how I want the axes. I'm going to go with just the regular here, which will match the bar chart I've got on top. So pretty quick and easy. If you're just doing a simple chart, you can go into and make these more complex. You can edit the information, You can add a data table at the bottom of the chart, add more error bars, etc. But we're going to kind of keep it simple here because we're about to run out of time. But that's what I need to do to put in a chart. Questions on charting?
Yeah, Wade.
Yep.
Wasn't that all part of once pivot tables?
You can chart a pivot table. Yeah, you don't have to create a pivot table to do charting, but yeah, pivot tables kind of get into the advanced class. But
Okay. I was just okay.
But yeah, you can create a pivot table and then chart, graph the pivot table. Pivot tables are a way to grab big hunks of data and slice and dice it different ways.
Wade,
Uh-huh.
the 3D charts are nice, but they can also be, they can falsely represent the information because you're looking at something 3D, you can change the angle of view. And if you look down at it, the numbers look like they're, or the columns look shorter.
Huh.
And if you look up at it, the columns look taller than they really are. And you have to be very careful when you read them, but you also want to be honest when you create them. So when you create a three-dimensional chart, you have to keep that in mind. I think that's necessary.
Yep. Good information. Yeah. And charting, there's a whole science and art around charting. And that's a good point. There's lots of other do's and don'ts around charting that we don't have time to get into, but we could do a whole class around charting in terms of appropriate ways to show your data and inappropriate ways. It's kind of like statistics. You can always change your statistics to support your position, which isn't the right way to do it. Being a research scientist, I ran into that a lot. Okay, we got
Wait,
just
what
yes.
did you do to edit it? You selected something to edit the chart.
This little plus up here where you can change the chart elements. So like if I wanted to put a data table below it and put the actual data in the table, you can do that. So there's just some other ways you can change the look of the chart. It's not changing the data inside the chart. It's just showing how you're presenting the data. So
Okay, thank you.
That's what these are. Yeah.
Ah,
Okay. All right. So let's go into printing because we just got a couple of 3 minutes left here, but and talk about printing. So let's say I did want to print this out. And so start off with, I'm going to just go to File, Print, the way it is right now. So I go to File, Print, and it shows me what it's printing. And it's pretty much printing that spreadsheet the way it sits. There's things I can do. I can change the orientation and probably make it work a little bit better. So now that doesn't look too bad. But let's say I just wanted to print this chart. I looked at them and this is the one that I want. Let me show you how to do that. I'm going to go back to my table. And if I click the one I want and now go to File, Print, it's going to just show me that selected chart. So if you have selected something, it'll show you what you've selected. You can even select, parts of a table and do the same thing, and it'll do the same thing. Oops. And this drop down is where you tell it what to print. At first, it showed me the whole active spreadsheet. And I clicked over here and said, no, just show me the selection that I'd made. And now it shows me just what I'd selected. So you can select a part of a spreadsheet. You can print the entire active sheet, which is the one that you were looking at, or you can print the entire workbook. This is going to print 11 pages worth of data, showing me all the sheets in that workbook. So those are your main choices here. There's the calculator. One other thing I did want to show you, I'm going to go through it pretty quickly here. That comes up a lot. So let's go back to our working with data, our bigger spreadsheet. and do file print. And we want to just print the active sheet. And there it is, but unless you got a microscope, you probably can't read it. You can scale what you're printing down here at the very bottom of the list of options, the settings. And right now it's set to fit everything on one page. I can say no scaling and say just print everything. And it's doing that now, but it's covering 3 pages. Plus, when I get into the second and third page, I can't see what's going on. So I can fix that as well. What I want to do is basically what I did with the freeze panes, but do it with printing. So let me go back to my sheet. And to do that, I need to go into page layout and print titles. The name there isn't real representative, but that's where you need to go. And what I can do is say columns to repeat at the left. I'll click here and say I want to repeat these 2 columns. And actually from in here, I can do a print preview without having to go back over to the print page. So I can click print preview, takes me where I would have been anyway. I've still got 3 pages, but when I go to page 2, it keeps my information. I go to page 3, it keeps my information. So I've got now my columns that have my salesperson and regions printing on each one of the pages. All right, we are just about out of time. I can take a quick question if anybody has 1 or 2 last questions. All right. If not, let's move on because we are 5 minutes away from the end of class. It ran a little bit long, but lots of good questions and a lot to cover here today. I'm going to bring my slides back up. Okay, so I do want to thank you for attending. Hope you enjoyed the class and learned some tricks that you didn't know about Excel. A couple of related classes, organizing with OneNote. OneNote is Excel's note-taking tool. If you're not familiar with OneNote, it's a great tool. We have a class on that. And then OneDrive Basics. Excel uses OneDrive to store the spreadsheets. So OneDrive Basics goes into how OneDrive works. So after class, you'll get an email. I've referenced it a couple of times. So the first part of the email is the class notes. In the class notes, there'll be links to several websites with information. That's where those keyboard shortcuts will be. And I think I've got another link how you can get help from Excel with a spreadsheet if you need help from them, if you've gotten stumped. I'll also put links to those other 2 classes in the class notes as well. If you want to take either of those classes, you can just click on that link. There'll be links to 3 other classes, not necessarily related to this class, but classes you may be interested in. If you're interested in one of those, you can click on those links. The Give Feedback link opens our feedback form. Only 2 questions. How do you rate the session? How do you rate the guide? 1 to 5 stars in each case. And then the last link is to view schedule. And it takes you back to our website where you can book another class. All right. If you're looking for a class, I think the easiest way to find it is to search by name. So if you're looking for that OneDrive class, you can just start typing OneDrive and it will show you that OneDrive Basics class. So you can click that and it'll take you to the registration page. That's going to be June 23rd at 4:30. If there's a guide or maybe several guides that you like and you want to see what they're teaching for the next 2 weeks, you can type in their name and hit enter. It'll show you their classes chronologically going out for the next 2 weeks. In fact, tomorrow I'm teaching a Managing Your Digital Afterlife class. So if that's something you're not familiar with, that's something you probably need to be thinking about. What happens to all your data when you're gone is the topic of that class. So if you're interested in that class, you can just click book to book the class. And if you want to tell somebody else about the class that you think would like to or should be in the class, click invite a friend, put their email here, and you can invite somebody else to the class as well. Okay, so that is everything. I do want to thank you for attending. Hope you enjoyed the class, and I hope I see you again in one of my classes real soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon and evening.
Thanks, Wade. You also.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Wade. Take care.
Great. Thanks, Joe.
Bye.
Bye.
Good class.
Thank you.
Great class.
Yep. Bye, Carl. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Have a good day, Arlette.
You too. Thanks.
Take it easy.